Hey, women of light, it's Wednesday Wisdom, and we've got the beautiful Sarah Keane here. So I hope everyone's enjoying their week. And we've got some fun stuff to talk about. Sarah and I actually met at a networking event last year. I think was it last year? Gee, it might have been the year before.
Like last year. It's hard to make sense of what happened in which year at this point.
Yeah. But it was really interesting because Sarah was actually the guest speaker, and I just connected straight away. She's a creative, and so as soon as I walked up, it just felt like I think you actually said, "Oh, I know you," and I'm like, "How do you know me?" So just because of Facebook and all that sort of stuff, right? So.
Yeah. I've seen your face on Facebook many times, and I just knew who you were straight away. So it's funny how that happens. We don't need to use anymore, but definitely, yeah.
But I also felt really connected to you because I feel like you are one of these creative souls that are here to change the world in whatever way, you know. You've got this energy about you, and I just connected in with you straight away. So. And I'm really excited to talk about what you're doing at the moment. So can you share what we were just talking about was
yes,
you're doing a uni course at the moment, yeah?
Yeah. So we met when I was running my photography business full time, and we obviously met pre-lockdown.
I think so. Yeah.
In June, I suppose, or July, whichever it happened this year. And I'd been taking photos of women who were in the middle of their lives and looking for meaning, looking for self-reinvention, looking for trying to get in touch with who they were spiritually, and finding their feet in the world, I suppose. And I really encouraged that through my photography. I use a lot of, creative, sensory, therapeutic strategies to make that happen. So I get people to fill out these incredibly long questionnaires about who they are. And we get out in the bush and have a lot of fun with smoke and fire. And
I remember seeing the photos.
It was just like I still get goosebumps talking about it. And I at one point I thought, look, there's something in front of me I can't see. There's something else I need to do, and it's right here, and it's annoying me because I cannot see what it is. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, it's the blue feather. I feel like there's white feathers everywhere, and I'm having this amazing time doing what I love and making these people feel really happy and seen, but all the white feathers are amazing, but I can't find the blue one. And that's a really strange way of putting it. I said, yeah, I know, but that's how it feels. And then I decided I started looking into further study, and I'd done photography study, and I found it really dry. There's nothing worth telling you.
I've done photography myself. Yeah.
Nothing worse than somebody telling you to abandon your creative choices and just do the technical right and wrong. So I walked away from that fairly soon after I started, to be honest. But I decided, look, I'm going to look into art therapy. I'm going to see if that's where I want to take my self-development from here. And so I did. I enrolled in a art psychotherapy degree, and I also enrolled in a diploma of creative arts and health. And
don't pressure yourself, right? 2 university courses together.
No, don't do one, do two.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was the blue feather. That was what I just fell in love with it straight away. And I've never been somebody who cares that much about study. I'm a chronic dropout of courses. I've got that whole sort of path of broken cert fours behind me, as far as you can see. And as a lot of people do, you know, you enroll in a cert four and a whim, and then it falls over, and you go, oh well, never mind. But this felt really different, and I just fell in love with it. I became obsessed with what I was studying, especially the art therapy stuff. I absolutely loved it. I just thought, this is where I have to be. This is what I need to do. And but it was within the creative arts and health diploma. It was another subject that that caught me by surprise, and it was an arts and dementia care subject.
Mm-hmm.
You know, cool. Let's learn about dementia. Let's just ride that and see. Like, it'll be fun. And I realised pretty early on that it really wasn't about that you know, when you're kind of learning about something that you don't have, you kind of get this, a lot of people do this othering thing where they go, I don't have it, let's treat those people as a group, and you know, they are people who have received a diagnosis of dementia, and what's great for them, what can we do for them? And
Mm-hmm.
I realised it's really not about that. It's really about how can we use creativity to develop cognitive resilience? And it's the disease or the syndrome or the condition of dementia, whichever word you want to choose, is, you know, it's really secondary to making sure that your brain stays healthy in its most optimal sense until you pass away.
I remember, sorry to interrupt you, but I can't even remember where it was, but I remember reading or listening to something not that long ago, maybe, you know, even about a year ago, so it wasn't that long, where they were talking about keeping your brain active and, you know, puzzles and writing with your left hand and brushing your teeth with your left hand and doing things that you wouldn't normally do, right?
Yeah.
And they discovered, I don't know if the two were married, but I do remember, isn't that funny? Here I'm saying I don't remember. But I do remember them saying, or somewhere I heard, that people that did these things, when they did scans with their brain, they actually showed that there were signs of dementia, but they weren't physically showing any of them.
Yes.
So the brain their brain was still, you know, deteriorating and aging, but there was no, there was no gap with the, you know, like it wasn't happening in the physical body, or the, you know, like they were still functioning optimally because they had been breaking these neural pathways and stuff.
Yes, that's it. So
that's all the stuff you're learning, right? Yeah, wow.
So the more that the more neural pathways that the brain develops, the stronger it gets, because it can find ways around the parts of the brain that obviously do, are impacted by dementia. It's like, you know, it's like having one highway or a bunch of, you know, 100 tiny side streets. Is that, you know, the more you can challenge your brain and the more newness that you experience and the more education you experience and the better you look after yourself in life, which is doing all the things that, you know, we should do, like diet and exercise, blah, 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 the better your brain, the thicker the density of your neural pathways and the more cognitive reserve you develop. And even if you do develop dementia, I'm sounding like an expert and I've only just started studying it, but I'm just talking about
passionate about it. Yeah.
Or my friends and family to bits. But it's like, the more education you embark on in midlife, especially, and the more newness that you expose yourself to. So it's not only about doing crosswords every day, because that's a pattern,
right?
You keep going down those roads. Those roads are like well-driven roads. You've got to keep going, okay, well, my brain knows how to do crosswords. I've got to keep stepping it up and try new things, because that's how the neural pathways keep being built.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because I've actually just turned 50, right? And I've recently moved to Shell Harbour, and I rang up my not very far from me, like 8 minutes away. I did, a check of what's in the area that I can go and explore and blah, blah, blah. And about 8 minutes from me is an area that's pretty famous for whale watching and for scuba diving and snorkeling and stuff. Yeah. And so, I used to live up in Cairns, far north Queensland. So going to Fitzroy Island and, the Great Barrier Reef, we snorkeled and, we've seen all that beautiful stuff when the kids were little. And just recently, like when I saw that, I'm like, oh, where are all our snorkel gear? Don't know, like how many times have I moved since then? So I said to the kids, let's buy some snorkel gear and let's go and do that again. The other thing is I don't know how to fish. The kids do, so I'm going to buy a fishing rod. And I've done it before, but, it'll be new for me. And the other thing that's just come to me is to buy a bike, because I haven't been on a bike for ages. So I didn't think of it in that way, but it actually is staying new to things, right? Like for me to be doing these things and getting back on the bike and all that sort of stuff.
Yes. And it's not just, your brain there's so many different aspects to your brain, of course. So it's not just challenging yourself mentally, like, acquiring more general knowledge or doing study, although study is such a big
part
factor
of it.
It's also developing new sort of those sort of physical newness elements as well, because the more your body is exposed to new situations where it needs to practice proprioception, which is working out how you're balancing, how your body is within a space. Basically a lot of different new sensations like skydiving and snorkeling and bike riding and all those different things. They're wiring other parts of your brain aside the crossword bit and the study bit. They're comprehension of the world bits as well, so that you're more resilient against having falls and not being able to sort of maintain your balance if, you do develop sort of advanced dementia in older age. Then all these things are just so important. So it's really not about a disease. It's about saying, okay, well, how can I live my life to the now to pack my brain full of exciting neural pathways that will help it to stay strong.
And isn't it perfect, here we are, as you get to a certain age, most people go, oh, I'm 50 and it's all downhill for me, And one of the things that I wrote because I only just turned 7th of September, and I put a post on Facebook saying I'm at my halfway point, right? So I'm so excited about them, because I've had such a journey to here. But oh my gosh, I'm just starting to get being on this planet, right? I'm only just starting to work this out, and so there's so much more to explore. And so it's sort of like, what do you do when you want to stay healthy and not be sick? As you boost your immune system. So, so what do you want to do when you don't want to get, mental deterioration? You build your brain system, your brain capacity.
Yes, exactly. And sorry to interrupt you there.
Yeah, go for it.
They've also found that people who do develop dementia, which I've read is one of it's definitely one of the top killers of women now. It's absolutely up there in the top. I don't know if it's the top one or a top 3, but it's absolutely up there. So it needs more. It's not just an old person's sort of I'll go home and wait to die type thing. It's serious. They found that people who do develop dementia can become more creatively like they get this huge rush of creativity later in life because the parts of the brain that are, really, problem solving constantly and remember a lot of data and phone numbers and your Medicare card and your bank card and all the numbers that you have to sort of keep programming all the time, you don't have as much need for that part of your life. All the admin stuff starts to sort of slow down a bit. But they found that people who sort of have more time and more mental energy to commit to creativity suddenly go through this incredibly creative, they just bloom creatively, and there's, I've watched all these documentaries of these women who have gone through these wonderful phases of life where they've just started painting or sculpting or
I've just started painting too.
Yeah, they got art college and they're just absolute, like, this huge proliferation of art. And then, maybe later in life they kind of say, did I paint that? And the daughter will say, yes, you did. You were an incredible painter. And, perhaps they haven't sort of been given that permission or sort of been able to realise that ability earlier in life because, it's not, we don't always get told at school that we're particularly talented or to pursue art regardless.
Yeah, that's right. And so your course that you're doing, how does that the art side move into the dementia side? So how does it work with your? So it's just art, is it, that you're doing the university course?
Yeah, it's all as many different creative modalities as you can think of. So it's kind of painting and poetry. I did a huge poetry project. And poetry is amazing for your brain, can I just say? I'm not a big poetry, addict, but I read about what poetry does to your brain. It's just incredible.
Oh, wow.
And sculpting and sand and textiles and, it's not, everyone just thinks, oh, art's painting, and I'm not a painter, if I'm honest. I'm not really a brush and pencil and pen person. And it's because the times when I've had to, when I've been talking to somebody about a photo shoot and I've said, I kind of think it'll look like this, and they're expecting something really talented from me, and I've got like a stick figure and these lines here, but it looks dodgy as on the not any kind of talented artist. And I really love art that isn't what you learnt at school. Everyone the painting and the sculpting with the newspaper and chicken wire at school, and I really love everything but that, because I think we internalize so much self-judgment about how
absolutely
and how so just get rid of that. There's so many other things out there that you can experiment with, and that I was having fun with in my photography that I will do again. I kind of want to, I've sort of got this dream about mushing it all together at some point, but right now I suppose I just find all this stuff about the brain amazing. The effect that art has on the brain, and how art brings people together in this very, it can sort of unlock parts of the brain that haven't been used for a long time. Like there's this, and I did tell you I'd rant on and on about this, so you'll have to forgive me. But,
totally fine.
I've read all these case studies of people who lose their ability to talk, right? Because with dementia, you can become non-verbal as it advances. There are people who can talk again, but only while they're painting or only while they're in a museum and they're
or they're dancing, like when they're I've actually seen that. I've seen something similar, and actually I think I vaguely remember Michael J. Fox. Remember the guy from Back to the Future? I think he got Alzheimer's, or there was something that he got early onset, And I remember seeing an article about him that he found ice skating something to do with the fluidity of the movement and stuff, that he was able to stop his tremors and all that sort of stuff when he was ice skating.
What's like stutter, who they can sing without a stutter. It's a different way that the brain can sort of get round, you know, can sort of hop over the issues and sort of work a different way to do things. Or, you know, or people don't, you know, they don't, I don't know, like when they're public speaking, they don't sort of say, you know, and all the time, or they're very, very shy. It's just that, you know, when you kind of put your brain into different situations, when you challenge your brain, it can, I don't know, it's amazing.
It is, isn't it? And the brain itself is such a interesting, you know, an interesting part of our body, right? Because it can, you know, rewire, it can do all these things, you know, neuroplasticity and all those interesting things. So thank you so much, Sarah. It's lovely chatting. And you're one of the odd people, which is just so perfect, because I see you as such a unique woman. That usually at the end I'll say, oh, what's your Facebook group, what's your website, blah, 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 because usually I'm talking to someone that's running a business and that, you know, but here you go, it's so nice to be able to just share Wednesday wisdom with someone that's passionate about what they're studying. So
I don't promote anything. I'm just incubating at the moment. I don't have anything at all. I will just sit next to me on a plane or a bus and I will just talk you under the table with this stuff.
So maybe in a couple of years, if Wednesday Wisdom's still going and Women of Light, maybe you have melded it all together and we can get you on and put your website on and all that sort of stuff. So, so have you got some wisdom that you'd like to share as just a finish off?
Yes. My wisdom is that I saw a really nice quote today, actually. It was something like, there's a you that you haven't met yet and you need to hold on until you meet that person because they're waiting to meet you. And I think I never ever thought I would care about dementia or get obsessed with dementia, but there's so much happening in the world of research right now. It's literally happening right now. And it's so exciting. So I'd encourage people who are watching just to pursue the newness. You know, when I told them uni, they said, oh, I've always thought about doing that, or, you know, I'd really like to do that. And I was lucky I was chatting to them on Facebook Messenger. Otherwise I would have been screaming at them if I was like, just do it.
Yeah.
About it. Enroll, you know.
Isn't it funny how stuck we get with things, right? Because how many people say, oh, I'm too old for that or whatever, you know, like, and it's like that's just something that they've made up, a belief that they've made up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So just get out there and do something new. Yes. So that's a great one. I'd love to encourage everyone that's watching, and if you're watching the replay, please put #replay. And throw in the comments what it is that you would like to do that's new and that you're going to go and do because you're encouraged by our conversation today.
Yes, and know that you are equipping your brain in the absolute best way possible for a long and healthy life. Even if you do develop dementia, your brain will be in the best shape it's ever been if you get on and do those new things now.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah.
My pleasure.
Lovely to have you on.
Thank you very much.